Hey guys, welcome to Book Study. I'm Emily and I will be covering chapters 15, and we're going to learn about how to cultivate slight edge habits. And then Sarah Marie will tell us about how to get 3 steps to get to our dreams. So I'm so excited to share with you guys on these chapters. Let's dig right in. Jeff Olson kicks off chapter 15 with a quote from Charles Reed that says, "Sow an act, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny." Those are short sentences that lead to really big things. This chapter discusses a lot about how our actions, the choices we make on a daily basis, compounded over time, create our habits, the things that we do on autopilot. Those habits are a direct reflection of our character. And ultimately, it's our character that determines where we're going to go in life. It determines the direction of our slight edge, either to the failure curve or to the success curve. Most of the time when we hear people talk about habits, it's the bad ones that they're referencing. It's not that we don't have good habits as well. It's just that we take those ones for granted. We don't tend to spend much time on the habits that are actually serving us because we're running on autopilot with them and we just do them. When it's time to reflect on our habits and evaluate them, most often it's because we're thinking that we need to change something somewhere, and we are recognizing our bad habits as areas that we can improve on. One point that Olson made that I found really interesting was the irony about this, because what we tend to focus on expands. So it's good to have awareness of our habits that don't serve us, to help us make strides to improve them. But we also need to remind ourselves of the power of the positive in our routines as well, and just understand that tremendous power and where that can take us. We talk about our actions and what we do or don't do that compound over time. Consistency matters, right? We all know that. So we know that if we are consistently sending out business messages and talking about the opportunity, eventually we're going to find our gold bricks. And on the flip side to that, if we consistently are in the habit of skipping our IPA because we don't feel like it or if it's inconvenient for us, we know that those actions will compound over time as well. And they're going to propel us towards the failure curve instead of the success curve. So let's back up a second. We know our habits come from our actions, but where do our actions come from again? Our actions come from the choices we make, and we make decisions based on what we think about something. Those thoughts stem from our view of the world, our frame of reference, our attitude, and that is also known as our philosophy. Our philosophy is key to mastering our slight edge. So the good news is, even if we might have begun our journey with a negative mindset or come from a place of comfort versus growth, we have the power to change our thoughts and our perspective. We can literally change our view of the world around us by tapping into that positive mindset. Guys, this means that we can change our philosophy to work for us and to propel us forward in our life, in our business, in our marriage, whatever it is. We have the power to change that trajectory. That is just so cool. Once you've mastered the slight edge, making right choices and choices that move you forward in the success curve will come on autopilot. Each small decision that seems insignificant at the time, that's where the magic happens. So all of those little, we've talked about this before, those little mundane things that we do that seem like they don't matter, that's what adds up. If you want to know where your current trajectory is, look at the habits you currently have and the choices you predominantly make. Are they serving you? Anybody have some habits that aren't serving you right now that you'd like to change? I do. Which brings us back to that ironic statement about focusing energy towards eliminating our bad habits, but not focusing on them so much that we actually create more bad habits. Instead of eliminating a habit, try to make a swap. So like you are going to start a new nutrition or a new lifestyle, you're going to change something in your lifestyle. Instead of, we know that we need food, right? So we can't just like take away the calories. We have to replace them with something else. So we're going to replace the donut for the salad, or, make that swap, because part of the habit is like doing something is the actual habit, or is the actual action. So if we try to take that action away, that can be harder sometimes than just replacing it. Maybe scrolling Facebook before you get out of bed in the morning, or instead of doing that, you open up your phone. I know, still not the best routine, but bear with me. You open up your notes section instead, and you write down 3 things that you're grateful for. It's a similar habit that will actually end up serving you. It'll boost your joy, it'll boost your positive energy, and then allow you some time for reflection. When you start to make these small swaps, you'll start to see things around you improve. Your life, your relationships, your mood, your health. The good will start overflowing in these areas. So how can we cultivate these habits? Number 1 is to show up. So we know that we need to get into action, right? We talk about that all the time. We can't just say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, or maybe I'm going to try that next month. No, that means we need to jump in and do the things right now, today, because without action, how is anything ever going to get done? All of these things we know, we talk about all the time, right? So this is something that I sometimes struggle with, because I'll find myself falling into that fear of doing something wrong in my business, or I want to have everything figured out before I do anything. But that's not how I'm going to learn. That's only buffering. That's slowing me down. And I'm never going to have all the answers. I'm not going to have it all figured out until I do it, right? That's how we learn. So you get skilled, you learn the skills, just like riding a bike, by sewing, by cooking, any other skill set. That's how we learn in our business too. You just do it. You practice, you get into action. Habit number 2 is to be consistent. Olson says that 80% of success is showing up, but he adds every single day. As crucial as it is to show up, we can't just show up once a week, or when it's easy for us to do so, or when it just happens to work out in our busy schedules. We need to show up consistently. This is not only a good way to build up your credibility and your trust base to your followers, but it's also good for your business. I don't know how many of you have ever missed a few days in a row and then tried to climb back into your Dough app. I have done that before, and it kind of feels like a bomb went off. Everything is a mess. You're not sure like where you're at with anything. It doesn't look like make sense. Sometimes you don't know where you're at with your systems. So that makes me feel like I want to buffer some more, and I just want to put it off and deal with it later. I don't want to do it right now. So it's just like this big snowball effect. If I'm sitting down to do my IPA at the end of the day, or even when I get up in the morning and I'm still feeling a little groggy, now I've just wasted a whole bunch of time playing catch up versus being productive. And I exerted way more energy than I was prepared for, and it's just plain harder. So looking at this from a few different perspectives was helpful to me. So we want to be consistent with our audience every single day, but it's also good for just organization purposes. Of course, showing up is easy, but it is so easy not to show up. Olson talks about his daughter showing up for class regularly, and how in just 3 weeks into that semester, 80% of the class had already stopped showing up. And that is why mediocrity prevails, why 90% of people end up in the failure curve instead of the success curve. Habit number 3, having a positive outlook. The book talks about a positive psychologist who researched people's conversations and analyzed what came out of their mouths in terms of positivity versus negativity, self over others focused, open to questions, or defensive. Of course, he found that the people who demonstrated more positivity saw opportunities versus problems. They exuded more joy, had better relationships, had better health, made more money, and they lived longer. They were more successful because, again, what we focus on expands. In fact, there are actually people around the world that have been studied. They're called the blue zone people who live out this type of life. They live the longest and are the healthiest people on the planet, free from chronic disease. The study that they did on these people they came up with a list of 9 factors contributing to their healthy living, healthy lifestyles. Number 1 is live an active life. Number 2 is have purpose and reason to wake up every morning. 3 was take time to de-stress. So appreciation, prayer, journaling, those types of things. Number 4 was stop eating when they're 80% full. Number 5, eat a diet emphasizing veggies. 6, have a moderate alcohol intake, mostly red wine. I'm a fan of that. Number 7, play an active role in faith-based community. Number 7, place a strong emphasis on family. And number 9, are a part of like-minded social circles with similar habits. Does that sound familiar? I think we're in the right place. One thing that we need to be aware of, though, is that cultivating positivity in our lives does not mean that we always have to be happy. Olson says, plain and simple, when we're cut, we bleed red just like everybody else. So we're allowed to have those feelings. We need to feel through those feelings. I actually learned somewhere that it's most beneficial when you're feeling angry or sad about something. For that first initial 90 seconds of that feeling, you sit there, you dwell on it, you let the feelings process through, and then you move on. 90 seconds is what I guess is like the research behind that says that that's how long we need to help move us through those feelings. I thought that was interesting. Habit number 4, be committed for the long haul. So showing up is great. Showing up consistently for a week is awesome. But once that initial motivation fades, do you keep going? Being committed for the long haul means that we toss out our feelings and we make the choice to put the work in every single day, no matter what. Consistency plus time equals a compounded effect. Habit number 5 is cultivating a burning desire backed by faith. And this, in our terms, we talk about this as our vision. So people who achieve great things not only have the desire, but they can actually envision themselves there. Your upline has been casting big vision to you of everything that this opportunity has to offer since the time you clicked join. You've grown your belief, you've cultivated your why, and now it's time to visualize the details of what success looks like, feels like, smells like to you. Where are you envisioning this taking you? Number 6, be willing to pay the price. Every day we're taking baby steps to bring us closer to our dreams. But as we all know, sometimes in our very busy schedules, we need to be intentional with every single minute. If bowling league on Thursday night is competing with book study and you're trying to determine which one will serve you better, you may need to sacrifice bowling league in order to ensure that those baby steps, that long haul commitment, remains intact. And lastly, habit number 7, practice slight edge integrity. What do you do when no one else is watching? You are your own boss. No one is here to tell you when to show up for work or punish you if you don't. The only one that pays the price is you. An example would be it's bedtime, you're exhausted, but you haven't gotten your 3 business messages sent out yet. You could go to bed and make it up tomorrow, right? Who would know? What do you choose? In that moment, you find your answer. You learn if you've got slight edge integrity. In that moment, you can predict what your future holds. And that is all I have for chapter 15. So I will let Sarah Marie take it away with 16.
Whew, I don't know about you guys, but that last one was really getting to me. So thank you, Emily. You did such a fabulous job. All right, so before I dive into chapter 16, guys, the 3 steps to your dreams, I want you to start by saying that, or I want to start by saying that if you are on this call tonight, you are here for a reason, okay? You are showing up not just because, oh, I have all the time in the world. I got nothing else to do on my Thursday night. No laundry, no dishes, nothing. Or, oh, I just really want to listen to these smart people because they're going to solve all my problems of life. No, you are here. You are showing up because you want more for yourself, for your family, for your future. You are willing to make sacrifices each week because you want to be successful. You want to be successful. We have been now through 15 chapters so far, jam-packed with information. And by the end of every Thursday night, guys, I know we are all getting off this call saying, wow, gosh, there were so many things that I just learned from that book that I can and I will go start implementing right now. I'm going to move that pedal forward. We just listened to these 7 powerful, positive, slight edge habits that should be kicking things into gear. So, if you can imagine, if you were actually to focus on them, those 7 things for a whole year, where would your business be? So, but guys, I am here to tell you that you will not go anywhere if you don't have an idea as to what you are trying to achieve and a plan on how to do it. So, I have a question for you, and I want you to think about this question for the rest of tonight. I want to ask you if you would consider yourself to be a dreamer. What I have found is that most people don't dream, guys. It's hard for them to dream and envision things. And that is strange to me because I have always dreamed about my future. But I want you to think, and I really want you to consider, do you dream? Do you dream about your future? Do you dream about your family and what things you guys love doing? So while we approach on how to set these goals, there are really only 3 simple fundamental steps that you need to take to turn your dreams into a reality. So Jeff Olson, he says that everyone who has ever created success has done something along these same effects. So number 1, you must make it specific, give it a deadline, and write it down. The most critical step for achieving success in any area whatsoever is the skill of envisioning. When you are envisioning something, guys, it means you are creating that vivid picture of something that it factually hasn't happened yet. And you make that picture so vivid that it feels real inside of you. Jeff Olson states that envisioning doesn't just happen at its optimum effectiveness simply by creating that picture in your mind. Okay. I know we've all done it. We've daydreamed, and that easily winds up being no more than just wishful thinking. So your dreams have to become physical. It needs to involve your senses. In other words, you have to write it down. I bet that's probably why my dream of marrying Justin Timberlake didn't happen. We didn't have triplets. Nothing became true of it because I didn't have the specifics and I didn't write it down, guys. It's probably my first mistake. But there was that exercise in the book, and it asked you to think of this, guys. And I want you to know that why vision boards are so crucial and why they come into play. I will admit it that it has probably taken me 2 years now to really see the value into why vision boards are so crucial for your business and why it's so important. Speaking it out loud, displaying those images for you to see every single day of why you are getting up and doing what you're doing. That moment you do this, guys, your dreams, they start to become real. You feel it. Now, when we talk about being specific in your dreams, I also mean the what and the when. The more details, the better with this. It's been said that our goals and dreams, it's been said that our goals are dreams with deadlines. Now, Jeff, he talks about the 80-20 rule. Now, 80% of everything you do tends to be done in the 20% of the time available. You're procrastinating. Or 20% in 20% my gosh, in 20% in, for example, Salesforce produce 80% of the results. If you don't create a deadline, that last 20% never seems to show up. And you're always going to be living in that 80%. Some of the time, someday, and that someday, guys, never comes true. I don't know about you, but I am guilty of this, especially with my goals and especially with the goals of my business. I remember telling Abby one month and one time that I wasn't doing goals for the month because, you know what, someday, when the time's right, I'm going to hit that rank. I told her that I couldn't put a timeline on that because then I was just going to be putting that pressure on myself. And you know what? That's just really not good for me. And then things just don't happen because that pressure is put on myself. Well, I can tell you that I still haven't hit that goal, because if there's no detailed vision of that goal or timeline, then it's not coming true. I've actually went further away from my goal because I didn't write it down. I didn't have specifics. I didn't take ownership of it. So this leads me then to that next fundamental step, step 2, looking at it every day. So the whole reason why you need to write it down is that so you look at it every day. The reason why you need to look at it every day is the same reason why you need to keep yourself in company of those positive people. You need to counteract that force of gravity, as Jeff says, or that force of mediocrity. So remember that the odds are 19-1 against you. You need to constantly remind your brain where it is headed, or you'll drift off to that path of, the path of mastery, and you're going to lose your way. The research that Napoleon Hill found is that 500 plus of the most successful men and women of this day were constantly and regularly telling and retelling themselves where their goals were. On an average, they did this twice a day, every single day. Your brain is a very complex organism or organ, and for more than it's far more complex than your computer and anything else. So your subconscious is by far your biggest distraction that you have. It's not social media. I mean, leaders are not our leaders are not kidding when they say that this business is 80% mindset and 20% skill. So remember how that we learned that by the time you hit first grade, you have heard the word no more than 40,000 times. I mean, your brain then has translated that no into, you can't do it. It will never work. That's impossible. I can't be a jewel. Why would I even bother trying? What we need to do and what we can do is surround ourselves with our yes. Our dreams then are real when you're saying yes. Jeff on page 241, he states that having your dreams concretely spelled out on paper is the most vivid and in the most vivid and specific terms possible, and with very tangible, concrete timeline, it provides you with an environment of the yes for your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. And then that 19-1 force of gravity starts leaking in from your subconscious and whispering, yeah, but are you really going to hit that goal of that Apple Watch? We need to respond instantly and without hesitation. Yes, I'm going to hit that goal of that Apple Watch, and maybe even do a little like jumping and slapping that action, that negative action into, slap it in the face, do something to it. But when you have that clear, tangible goals and you set them, that is key though. It has to be something you can actually hit. So for me, and for me to say like, oh, well, I'm going to hit Emerald by the end of the month, that's not tangible, guys. And I mean, in all honesty, as much as I really want to say that by the end of 2022, that might still even be a stretch of a tangible goal for me. And even though that kills me inside, It's the facts. But when you actually have goals that you can hit and you feel like you're winning every single day, life has that way of rearranging itself and setting you into a series of events that you could have never predicted or planned to get you there. So think about when you see someone hitting a rank and they hit it really fast. I mean, I am sure Terry did not have that goal when she joined, saying that she wanted to be Jewel within 2 months of starting this business. But she had, though, that clear goal. She had a clear vision, and she knew which direction, though, she was going to head. Her subconscious brain went to work. She had the right philosophy. Then she followed that philosophy of the slight edge, and she came up with the right actions. And then she kept repeating those actions. And those series of events happened, and her circumstances changes then. She hit that rank, and she was able to leave her job as her nursing career after, I think it was 22 years. And now she's on a plane to Hawaii. Now, so now that you should have a clear, concrete, tangible goal, you're going to write it down and you're going to give life over that goal. You need to then, lastly, which is the third step, start the plan. So now when I hear plan, I assume something I am going to put together on, and I'm going to, I will get there, and it's going to be that right plan to get me there. Wrong. The point is not to come up with this brilliant plan that's guaranteed to get you to diamond. The point is to simply come up with a plan that will get you out of the starting gate. I mean, I'm gonna admit that was really hard for me. Okay, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I like things to be set in place as this plan, but that's not it. The plan you start with will not be the plan that gets you there. So, and this is kind of the same similarity. That team that got me to Senior Ruby is not going to be the team that got me to Emerald. And that's okay, guys, where you are. That is why it's so important to be putting your work first so that you can be bringing in that new blood. And then when you start to bring in that new blood, you're going to start creating then a second plan. So that can, though, be a hard concept to grasp, okay? I will be real. I have struggled with this very much. And I was telling myself, no, that can't be true. Abby, whatever. She doesn't know what she's talking about, but maybe this team, will get me there, even though I don't have the same workers that are still on. Some have dropped off, but it's still going to happen. I know it is. I also, it's going to happen. But guys, the team that got me there isn't the team that's going to get me there, but that's okay. I've also grown so much. I wasn't ready to have that team bring me to Emerald. So I need to tell you guys, you just need to do the things. Do your daily essentials. And once you start doing those, that's going to give you power. You don't try to figure this all out in one night, one day, 1 month. And also, guys, to also put it plain and simple, if you want twice though the success, you need to double your failure rate, the rate of failure. So you will start with a plan, and then you're going to go through this process of continually learning by both studying and doing the action. That means professional growth and action. I feel like you need to keep saying that word sometimes. You will be adjusting that timeline. And if you don't have problems, guys, that in your business, then you do not have enough action going. Success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So keep holding that as your motto, your philosophy, and you will generate the attitudes and actions you need to keep progressively realizing a better and better plan. There is so much truth to that you need a first plan so that you can get to your second plan, so you can get to your third plan, so you can get to the fourth, the fifth, etc. Now, everyone's plan is going to look different. Again, it's not black and white. even if it's the same goal, okay? Rachel Griffin and I, we have the same goal to be Emerald on that stage next year. But I can tell you right now, her plan is definitely going to look different than mine, right? I work full time. She stays at home. Just because I work doesn't mean I'm not going to hit it. And just because she stays home doesn't mean she has all the time in the world. It looks so different. And everyone's circumstances are different. So you guys, I just want you to sink that in, because that was such a hard realization for me. It's so hard. So to wrap up the 3 steps, you need to have a plan to start with, okay? But you cannot start with the plan that's going to get you to that goal. You have to start with that philosophy that will take you there. So with the right philosophy, your why, okay, you have to have your why in front of you, you'll find that right plan. And the plan should not be complex. It should be simple. I mean, in all honesty, guys, this is a simple business. What we do is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. But if you start with that simple plan, you practice those daily disciplines, then the one plan leads to the next, which leads to the next, and so forth. So I'm going to wrap this up, all this up. But guys, don't try to figure out this whole race and all the things that go into getting you to diamond, okay? Because I know a lot of us, that's our end goal. Don't try to figure out every single thing that's going to go in there. Just figure out where to put your foot for the starting line and just start. So I want you to take that bold step onto that path of mastery. The result will look incredibly complex, but it's not. It never is. It's always simple little things that take you there. April did the same little things, those same steps day after day to get her to the top. Those are the same steps that we are currently doing, even if you're at the silver or gold level. They're the same steps. You guys, I really want you to listen up of what I have to say. Everything you do, every decision you make is either building your dream or building someone else's dream. Every single thing you do is either leading you away from the masses or leading you away with the masses. Everything you do is a slight edge decision. Now I got to figure out how to stop it. Oh, I don't want to end the meeting.